help?
I need some help.
Help me! Help! You exploit them and spread whatever problems they have to the whole world. You think that's helping?
I love you. It's like, why don't we say that every day? Why can't we say it more often?
I just love you. I just want to go to the rooftops and scream, I love my best friend.
Howdy, y'all. What the fuck is up? I'm Willard, and this is Twinkle Dads, an email advice show. If you'd like to send in a question asking for personal advice to be answered by me and or one of our very special guests, you could do 4 things. You could email me, twinkledad69@gmail.com, DM me on Twitter and or Instagram at emo advice show. You could text me 775-710-5150, or if you play this episode backwards, you'll find out that I've coded in the address to my apartment in East Hollywood, California. So please take that as an open invitation. I never lock the door, so you can just come in whenever you want. If I'm not there, you can just chill, hang out in the living room. We got a very beautiful green couch that's nice to lay on and read. It's right next to our window, which has incredible natural lighting. And you could just wait for me. Or if I'm already there, we can introduce ourselves. I'll get the recording set up all ready to go. And then you can bear all candidly in front of everybody. That is a foolproof plan. There is absolutely nothing wrong that could go about that, whether it be for me or for you. So, yeah. I think I've said it before and I'll say it again. And that, like, the main reason for Twinkle Dads being set up like this is that I want to be there for you. Uh, I personally think that empathy is the greatest tool that we have as humans, and that, it's so sick to be able to care so much about something else or someone else and to feel extreme happiness or extreme pain or sadness. And the fact that, like, we're able to have a lifetime of those extreme emotions is just so cool, you know? But if you're constantly putting yourself down for the emotions that you feel, that if you try to shut it out or try to demean yourself, if you don't give yourself empathy for your problems, then how are you going to give others empathy for theirs? It's a very tricky situation, but I want this, I want to be here for you so you can be there for yourself. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And that no matter what, you are not alone. And that there are people and that there are avenues there for you to remind you of that. You have me. We probably never met. But I care about you. I think about you. The people that we have on think about you and care about you and are willing to talk about you. So you're at least worth something, right? But you're worth so much. Everybody is. And so, no matter what, Twinkle Dads is always open for you to reach out. Is it therapy? No. Should it be a substitute to therapy? No, absolutely not. But is it something? Could it be something that helps? Maybe. I sure fucking hope so. But yeah, so once again, if you'd like to reach out, the email is twinkledad69@gmail.com, at Emo Advice Show on Twitter and Instagram. 775-710-5150 is the phone line we have set up. And you can just show up at my house. Please. I care about you. I love you. And I wish you the best. Today we have a very special thing. Our first interview, our first guest. Yes. Oh my God. I'm very happy to have Nikki of Star Funeral coming on to talk about her recent debut LP, In the Dark, that was just released on Count Your Lucky Stars a few weeks ago. And to just kind of break down the backstory to it all and the emotional background, and then have her answer a question set in by you. So yeah, I know we talked about this like off mic when we were in our recording session, but uh, Keith of Count Your Lucky Stars and also of Empire, Mount Orienter, countless number of projects. We talked about how he just knows that he has like a finger on the pulse somehow, and that especially now when it comes to emo as like a term, a genre, a subculture, whatever it may be, is that with like the emo revival more so dead and gone, and that it just feels like a lot of the times labels are trying to predict what comes next or like what should come next and try to like get hype bands. But it also just feels like with Count Your Lucky Stars, is that like the people put on, it just isn't vain. There is a lot of selflessness to it, just to be able to amplify great artists and bands that probably like that maybe not have the opportunity to do so to at least that wide of an audience. Count Your Lucky Stars, I know for a fact, has hit 2 albums out of the park this year. You have Elliot Green's Everything I Lack, which I've spoken about before and I'll say again. Holy fucking shit. um, that record is crushing. Every Seattle homie who listens to this just knows like that album is fully the shit. And then you have In the Dark by Star Funeral, which is just, a completely different level of like emotional haunting and dissonance, if that makes sense. Like, I know I first checked out the record because one of the similar artists is Title Fight. And as we all know, Title Fight, their sound is split into two. Early Title Fight, which is post hardcore, pop punk, just absolutely fast and crushing rhythms and melodies. And then you have late Title Fight, Hyperview, shoegaze, head in the ceiling fan, and you just kind of have like chords that linger on in a way that is like just so nostalgic and a bit under your skin, and it just kind of rings through. And so when I first put on the track Alone, which was the one recommended to me, thinking that I would get the first the former part of Title Fight, that heavy Title Fight, I was pleasantly surprised with like what felt like an earnest yet true homage to the sound. Cuz it is, and we talk about it to a large extent about just like sonically how just kind of spacey this feels, and it's such a beautiful companion to Nikki's songwriting and performance, because, and we also talk about this of just like snail mail demo esque like vocal styling, especially with the production and the lyrics just being such an open and honest like bearing of it all, which we talk about. We break down the track I'm going to play for you first, which is the title track, In the Dark, and the backstory that usually accompanies other press releases, which talks about uh, a traumatic experience, a surgery leading into a life altering phobia, and how that lingers on years after. And I think just as a listener, the first thing that comes to mind is, how do you have the gall to be that open? um and I mean that with like respect, because it's like that honesty is you could write the catchiest song ever, but if you're feeling like if it feels authentic, like, you know, if there's a sense of just pure heart beating authenticity to it, it carries it to another level. Um, and it just bleeds through. And so it was very much, I'm very thankful for getting the opportunity to ask questions about what it's like to write material like that, to sit on these tracks that detail a lot of personal introspection and anxiety and mental illness and dark thoughts, to sit on it for almost 3 years, knowing that it will be widely released, not only to a bunch of strangers, but also to family and friends who might look too deep into it. And so I'm very thankful because, you know, for a first interview, on my side, things could have gone much more better and I could have handled it better. But, you know, I recognize what needs to improve, and also that that's not the focus on it. Because if you think that the songs on In the Dark are honest, just wait for Nikki to speak and to kind of take reins, and that you can almost block out all of the shitty like audio from the interviewer side and just listen to her talk and break down, you know, what it's like to be genuinely excited for, you know, dark and personal material. So yeah, I'm very happy to just kind of lead into it. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you, Nikki, for the record that you made. Thank you for the producers who get mentioned later on for helping create what truly is a very enjoyable and warm piece of art. So this is In the Dark by Star Funeral, followed by an interview and one question. Thank you all so much, and I'll see y'all oh so soon. Bye bye.
All right, everyone in progress. Hello, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Nikki Esposito, and I am Star Funeral, and thank you so much for having me today.
Of course. Thank you for being the first formal guest on this podcast.
I'm
Uh,
so excited.
yeah. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Just been hanging, basically, but I'm doing
Yeah.
good. How about you?
I'm doing well. Just kicking rocks. We went through this beforehand. I don't know if many listeners will know what it means, but what are your rosebud and thorn for today?
Basically, my rose is, I guess, releasing this album in the dark that I just put out. Um, my bud is that it's been just feeling I've been feeling like positivity from, I guess, putting this album out. So that's been just like great. And hopefully I'll get to tour and play those songs for everyone eventually, hopefully.
Yeah.
And then my thorn is probably like, I guess, basically describing like my album. I mean, I'm always gonna have like those thoughts that come across in my album. And I don't think that will ever really leave, but it's something that I'm learning to push through within time. And I feel like releasing this album is like helping with that.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
When you say thoughts, I mean, what kind of thoughts do you mean?
So listening to my album in the dark, a lot of the songs are like pointed towards myself and my just like my thoughts in general. Um, like depression is like a thing. It's a big thing now. I feel like that's a big deal that a lot of people struggle with. I mean, you can't just remove depression. Like there's no way to do that. Um, but just hoping to push through like the negative thoughts, I guess, that your mind gives you. That's really what I'm trying to explain.
Okay. So yeah, I guess that makes sense. So in a way that by releasing an album full of just what is introspective and vulnerable material is kind of a way of cool, this is me processing it, and hopefully when the album is done through finish, it's I can get through, I can move
Yeah,
on.
that was how I've been feeling, I guess. But I mean, you can only put out things, but I guess the feeling will never be like healed over, if that makes any sense. Like it will feel like okay, this is getting better. But there's always that moment where like you could get dragged back down. And like that's a big deal to think about. I mean, with anyone, with their feelings, with moods, with depression, things like that.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, very, very fair, I guess. I mean, no, because I feel like a lot of this, yeah, it's I hate to say it after just talking about depression, perfect segue. Um, because I guess I wanted to ask about, before we start getting into the song specifically, the release of the album, because Alone was first dropped, was it April of last year?
Yeah, actually was it released last year or 2 years ago? I feel like it was either released 2 years ago or last year. I forgot. Not last year. So it was released 2 years ago because it was released right after New Year's.
Oh, okay.
So I
Yeah, this
released
is pretty.
right after New Year's, yeah. So 2 New Year's ago.
Wow.
So it's been a
So,
while.
yeah, I mean, it's been a while, and I guess one, why was if you don't mind answering, why was there a gap of time between that release and then the album release itself? And were there any of the songs written on the album like on the album written by that time, or was Alone
So
just like the first one?
the whole album was done around that time. It was I actually recorded the album. When was it? The June of when COVID started happening. So that year, that's when I recorded the whole album. So it's been a long time that I had this record. I was kind of hesitating on even putting out this album. I mean, for a long time, like talking about my thoughts again, like you let your thoughts get the best of you. That was like a main thing in my brain. Like I was afraid to just put everything out. And for me, it was like weird because I used to be in like a lot of bands, but I was always like the bassist, or I was always like the singer and the bassist, but I never had something that was like I did everything on. So I think that scared me a lot. Like I played all the instruments, I wrote all the lyrics, I sang everything. I didn't play drums, but my one of my best friends from my past bands did. But I think that was another thing that was like holding me back from releasing it. But I did have the person who plays drums, Ethan, and Billy Menino, who recorded the album, just keep going, just put it out, just put it out. What's the worst that can happen? Like, come on. So I was like, okay, fine. So I put out Alone around then where I was like, okay, whatever, let's just see what's going on, I guess. What can go wrong? And I was like freaking out when I put that out because I was so nervous, but it seemed like it was positive because then I had Counter Lucky Star Records reach out to me, which is pretty interesting, right when I put it out. So
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense
yeah.
in the grand scheme of things. I just even the thought of sitting on it for that long
Oh
and
yeah.
like you said, sitting on it with, I guess, just material like that, and just a lot of vulnerabilities, both in like the lyrics and also like production. Like that is just like
Yeah.
putting yourself fully out there, and like being like, do I put myself out there for like 2 or 3 years? It's just
That's the thing that scared me. I was like, do I just do this? Like, I don't really know if this is right, or I don't know if I should just put this out there and things like that. I definitely let my anxiety get the best of me, but I feel like it almost just kind of happened in that way for a reason. I feel like
Mhm.
it did.
I
But
guess.
yeah.
Um, yeah, no, I mean, of course, very glad that you released it, but like, yeah, now that like you're hearing like feedback and actually like having people listen to it, like, I like, what does it feel like having people like respond to your emotions in a way?
It feels different. Um, a lot of the feedback has been so positive, which is insane to like even think in my brain because I was so nervous about it. Um, I was very scared to put it out and just I've been getting messages like ever since I did release the album or even like the singles that I did release. A lot of people have just been like really enjoying the music. People have been like messaging me like that some of my songs were like helping them like with like their own like dark thoughts. And just like it's just been so incredible because I would never expect that ever, like ever,
Mhm.
because I was so worried to just like put my feelings and like these songs out there. I almost just like never released these songs because I was so scared. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I get that. That's like completely valid, I would
yeah.
say. In a fucked up sense.
Yeah.
But I guess it's like, you mentioned having like never held like this much like responsibility in the band of just like, of like holding so many like parts of the
Parts of it,
project.
yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it's like what loaded question. Like what compelled you to like make that decision and like write it?
So, um, I have been in a lot of bands, like, as a young kid, like, throughout, like, high school, like, through college. Like, all I ever knew was, like, playing in bands, and that was, like, a big deal for me because I always just wanted to play music, like, always wanted to be in a band. Um, when I joined my first band, I really wanted to be, like, the singer, and when I guess, like, Facebook has, like, a postings going, like, where you find bandmates and things, like, it's called, like, Long Island Musicians, like, in Long Island, New York here, and, I found my first bandmates there, and they were looking for a guitarist and singer, and I was like, "Oh my god, I wanna sing, and I wanna play guitar." So, when I was talking to these people, they were like, "You know what? You're gonna play bass." So then I started playing bass and singing in the band, and I was willing to make it work because, like, I just wanna play in a band so bad, and, like, that's what I wanted to do. So I played bass for a really long time in my life, and then during that band, I got asked to play bass in another band, and, like, the first band, though, I was, like, singing, playing bass, the second band, I was, like, playing bass in, and I just always wanted to play guitar and, like, sing, and when I kinda just had my bands that I used to be in break up and just, like, stop working, it hurt me a lot, it kinda, like, stunted me musically, and I was just, like, really nervous to make my own project and play these instruments because, I just, like, felt, like, very insecure, from, like, just past experiences with, like, bandmates and things. They've definitely made me feel, like, a little insecure, with just, like, my music ability and things, so that was, like, a main part of, like, why I was so afraid to, like, just play every single instrument. Like, I did it, but I was also very afraid to release the album because I was afraid of that as well. So that was, like, a big chunk that, like, also motivated me to maybe not release it and things like that, but I also was exhausted of being in a band because I felt like there's always people that were, like, motivated. There's always people that were not motivated, and it was, like, pulling teeth. It was, like, very frustrating. So that was also another thing why I did, like, a solo project, but another thing that also added into it was Billy Menino, who recorded my album. He was like, "Please, just, like, come to my studio and record, like, songs. Just please come," because I just kept going like, "Oh, I'm writing songs," but I was, like, scared about it. But he was like, "Please, like,
Oh.
what's the worst that can happen? Like, please record songs with me." And I was like, "Okay." So the songs that you guys are hearing now on In the Dark are all those songs where he was like, "Just come to the studio and, like, record songs." And that's what became about of it, of like the album in general. Like, those songs were from Billy going, "Please record with me." And I was like, "Here are some songs, okay." That all, like,
Okay.
tied together into everything now, basically.
Yeah. No, definitely. Like even I get like secondhand anxiety from all of that.
Oh,
Like the
yeah.
most
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
like yeah. Was there like a song that you were like most like that you were scared most of like releasing, or that you like felt most anxious about other people hearing?
Um, so I think I was scared to release Solitary. That was, like, a very deep song for me. Um, I was also afraid to release Outgrow, but after releasing the album, Outgrow has kinda just, like, gone away, like, those feelings have gone away, like, for me, so I'm not that
Mhm.
afraid anymore, but I think, yeah, Solitary was probably, like, the main one that I was a little afraid to release because it was so likeable. Like, it was very personal to me. And, like, I do have songs that are written about myself, like, majority of the album. But yeah, there are some, like, songs on this album that, like, have to deal with, like, deep situations. So, yeah.
Mm. No, I mean, yeah, we'll definitely talk about that song more in a little bit, but yeah, no, like I get that, especially with like I don't know, with Solitary, like with like, you know, just some of like the implied ideas, but you know, like especially like in art when you release so much self, like so much stuff about like I and like yourself, that it's like, you know, eventually it's like the thing where it's just like honesty. When you're so honest all the time, there's essentially like lower, like how deep can you go?
Yeah, how deep? Yeah, how deep can you really go? Yeah,
Yeah, and like, you
definitely.
know, yeah, and then you like, you know, write something, and I sit with Solitary where it's just like, okay, you know,
Like, you
like
can go
that.
deeper,
Yeah,
literally.
yeah, like, ooh. uh, yeah, I to just like pick apart, because in Solitary, it's like funny you brought that up, because at least when listening to In the Dark, I get like this very like bodily theme. It like, you know, like very centered to like, you know, like the narrator, like, you know, the narrator's body. And that with like in Solitary, it was just the reading it like leaving a part, like I left a part of me in the back of you, like, you know, your
Yeah.
car seat. Um, yeah, and the idea that there's like all this like attaching and detaching, like peeling skin off.
Oh yeah.
Um,
The whole
and-
song.
yeah, like
A little
everything. I'm just
graphic.
yeah. It's just like everything is just like so like, you know, existential and bodily, and I just like, but like the song that like defines that the most, at least personally from an audience perspective, is In the Dark.
Oh yeah.
Um, which I mean, if you could like explain the backstory that I know you have given in like other press releases about like what that song is about.
Yeah. I mean, I named the song In the Dark after the album because I did feel like it just embodied the whole album. So that's why it is called In the Dark. Um, but for me, this song was actually the first song we recorded, which is so weird to think. Um, and after recording this song, I was like, whoa, okay, maybe we can keep doing this. And then we chugged through all the other songs, but this song is about my jaw surgery. Um, I had an underbite when I was younger, when I was a baby. And when I was a baby, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I would see these doctors probably like once a year just to check up on my jaw. And if you don't know what a underbite is, it's basically like your bottom jaw is reversed, like a normal like jaw, like your top teeth are this way, like forward, and then your bottom jaw is back. I had it reversed where my bottom jaw was forward and my top jaw was backwards. So it was an underbite, that's what it's called. And I had to get jaw surgery when I was 16 years old. It was always like a planned out thing when I was baby, and when I was younger, I was just very afraid to even show like my smile in photos. I would just like use my mouth to smile because I knew I had an underbite. And that was like a big insecurity for me. Um my teeth for a while, but when I was 16, I was supposed to get this surgery. I was very excited to get this surgery actually because I thought I'd feel more confident. And little did I know, um, I was not happy with like the outcome. Um, I did not enjoy what it looked like. When you get surgery on your jaw, I guess any facial surgery, your face is swollen and it's swollen for like months. Like I think my face was swollen for like almost a year. Um and just I felt like a monster. I just felt like I lost myself, and that's why in the lyrics like oh my god, I lost myself, didn't think it would be real. That was when like I was like holy shit, like I lost myself. Like I lost who I was before. I don't even know who I am. Like I feel like I'm not even in my own body that I used to be in. And for a long time like I was trying to hide myself and I was just afraid of just stepping out into the world because I was just like I had like bad body dysmorphia, and In the Dark is just an explanation of that whole entire experience. I mean, there's other songs on here too, but that song was more of like a relation. Oh, well, oh my god. That song was basically kind of like, whoa, holy crap. I'm realizing that like I just lost who I am and I can't get this back again. And that was basically what In the Dark is about.
So like when it comes to like writing about like loss of self, like in that situation, like was it easy for you to like communicate it? Like was writing was writing the song like a thing where you're just like all like all of these lines such as like the mirror shows the image of my body how it's falling apart, which by the way that is just such a oh my goodness. um like was it like a thing where it just clicked and the ideas were, or like was it like still like an active struggle, like even like writing those words down?
So writing this song, which is really weird to even explain, I was just kind of writing it at like 3 a.m. one night, and I think a part of me was like, I really want to write like a song about this. I just don't know how. I didn't even have the lyrics written. I just came up with like the instrumentals first, and I was just playing around with it, and then the lyrics came like naturally to me, which is really weird to even explain that it did, but the song came pretty naturally. And it just flowed. I almost just feel like maybe I just needed to get it out, if that makes any sense in a way.
Mhm.
So it did go out so naturally, but
Right.
that was kind of how my feelings were. And yeah, like the mirrors in the mirror part, that was like a big deal for me. Like I couldn't look at mirrors for like a year, almost even longer. Like I was deathly afraid of like mirrors for a very long time. And that was like a thing I really wanted to put into this video because I just had like a horrible fear of it, which is weird to even say, but that's a
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah, no, and it's definitely like real. Like you said you were 16, right?
Yeah, I was like 16, 17, like around that age.
Yeah,
Oh
like
wait, no. Sorry, correction. So I was supposed to get the surgery at 16, but it ended up getting moved around like in my 20s for some reason, just because of like my growth. So like around not my 20s, sorry. Around like maybe when I was like 19 or 18. That's when I actually ended up getting it because of the bones that were growing in my body. Like they weren't grown yet. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, that's still like I feel like in the middle of like coming of age too. or like in the 1819 where that's like becoming a doll. Like, yeah, that's definitely I understand like how like big of an impact like especially like because that's like around the time when people are supposed to allegedly like figure out who they are. So like I could
Oh yeah.
only imagine, losing that like access to like confidence in self was just like such like such a thing to go through.
Most definitely. Around then I was in college. I was playing in some bands around then, and I think I felt like pretty confident on who I was around them before the surgery. And when I was in college, everything was fine. Like I had friends, things like that. And after my surgery, I had to go back into my last year of college. Um,
Oh.
and that was really hard for me because I kind of just like excommunicated myself from friends, from people, from things, from going out, just living my life. Like I would I would go to my classes in college. I would show up to one class, run back to my dorm, and just sit in there like during the break,
Oh.
then run to another class, and then run back to my dorm again. And it was like a weird way to end my college year, I guess.
Hmm.
It's fine, like looking back at it now, everything's okay. But
Hmm.
back then it was really hard for me because I felt like I was like losing touch with life, with people, with things, with myself. And I just like felt like in a way I was like spiraling a little.
So how many like because sorry. How many years like I think was like separated from like, like your last year of college and dealing with that with like the song and like the album being written.
So when did I graduate college? I'm trying to figure out when I graduated. I think I graduated. I'm pretty sure maybe I graduated. Let me check actually. I forgot what year I graduated, but I feel like it's like 2014 or something, or I might be going crazy. I don't know. Um, I did graduate college. Hmm. I don't know. I wish I remembered. I'm honestly not too sure. Um, hmm. So I'm wrong. So I got my surgery in like 2017, I think. So it was probably around then. Probably around like 2017, 2016, around then. Because that's when I remember the year I got my surgery. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. I just don't remember. The times are flying. But um then in the summer of COVID is when I ended up writing that song and recording that song in the dark. So COVID was like the start of COVID was 2020.
Mhm.
Uh, so yeah, that was like a big chunk of time. 2017 from 2020. That was I feel like it's still a chunk of time.
Yeah, that's certainly like a healthy amount of distance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Um, I guess like you talked about it like a little bit, but like from that experience, like how much do you think it just like influenced how you write?
Like the surgery and like all those things you're saying?
Yeah, or like yeah, like the just like the image of self.
Image of self. Yeah. Um, I feel like when I was younger, like writing music, it was always kind of dark, but I do feel like since I did have that surgery, I feel like it took like a darker turn for the worst, I guess. But like that's honestly like how I can really explain it. I feel like it's definitely made things a little darker for me, like musically writing.
Like how do you feel about like it going darker? Like, is it easy for you to like, I don't know, separate yourself from like, dark and like dreary material being written and being like, okay, like I can like live my life outside of this song?
Yeah. Um I always really liked dark music. I always really liked writing dark things. I don't think it really impacts my day to day, but I feel like now after releasing this album, and I was like very afraid to put it out there. I mean, I never know what anyone's going to think, like my friends, like my family, like people around me about these lyrics and things. Um, so I think that would be the only thing that would be a little like, going through my daily life, and then people like my family knows what's going on with me, going through my daily life, and my friends kind of know what's going on with me. But in a way, during like those dark times of me like struggling with my surgery, like my family was with me through a lot of it. I do have friends who are like still with me today, who like knew how much I was struggling with it. I don't think I was ever not honest with them how I was feeling, because when I began to be very honest with like how I feel about myself, how I feel about how I look, I think like the main important thing that my family wanted to do and like my friends want to do is just like to make sure I was okay, and at least like living my life, like my daily life, and making sure like I'm okay, and to like build myself back up again, even though if it took like a while.
Hmm. Uh, yeah, in regards to having like, like being honest with your friends and your family, and I like being honest in the music. Um, like, were you hesitant about like them specifically listening to it, or like was there like regret about anything?
I don't think I have any regrets, which is crazy for me to even say. I don't think I have any regrets to whatever I put out in these songs, to whatever topic these songs are about. Um, I do think I was like very nervous to seeing like my family's reactions, and like a lot of my friends basically just like know that I had all these pent up feelings out. So if anything, they are very supportive of me like just putting it all out there. Um, I was very worried about my parents, my siblings, everyone just like kind of reading up the lyrics going like, "Are you okay? Like what's wrong?" But they kind of know, but that I don't think they know it to the deeper surface than it is in the lyrics, because the lyrics are obviously like deeper, like they're very deep.
Mhm.
I mean, but let's hope that people don't look too deep into the lyrics like my family. But yeah, I mean, that was really it.
Yeah. Have you yeah, I mean, since finding out that the whole record has been completed um since uh COVID of 2020, like have you written much for Star Funeral since? And like if
So,
so, like has that like progressed or like or changed at all?
so after I recorded In Dark, I did write some songs like directly right after I did record. So I have a lot of songs that are still from like that time period that I'm just like sitting on like demos right now. And I did write a couple more songs from then, but right now, over the past year, maybe last year, I almost feel like it's been a little hard for me to write music. I don't know why, but it's been a little hard for me. I can't explain it. Like I do have like my feelings like of things that I want to bring out, but for some reason I've been getting big writer's block at the moment. But I also feel like maybe it's because I'm so overwhelmed by the stuff that's currently happening right now and the process to even get this album going.
Hello.
Hi.
No, going back on it, yeah, no, dude, that Paramore album, very much enjoy it.
It's so good. It's so good. And then I've been listening to, which I think it's like from last year, but I don't know, when it's this year for me. I've been listening to like the new Armor for Sleep album. Um been also listening to like the new Holy Fawn record. So good.
So
But I
good.
think
Oh.
those released next last year, but
Yeah, it still counts.
they were close to this year, basically.
It is really that. So now that we're back to recording, yeah, I want to be fully honest. My phone, I just left my phone in the heat and I put it in the freezer. But now we're back, and now we're talking about albums we enjoyed. And a question that I have about, I was like, I didn't know really where to fit it in the podcast was so the so the recommend if you like that has been put on this album features three bands which are all like very interesting and like very apt choices of Title Fight, Land of Talk, and Armor for Sleep. So I guess the question is like, because I know for like it's like sometimes the artist chooses it and sometimes the label picks it. So yeah, the two questions was who picked the recommended if you like, and do you think that those are like fair comparisons?
So Keith from Count Your Lucky Star Records, we were both like Land of Talk. Like this makes sense, Land of Talk. I think we were both kind of like, yeah, this like makes sense, like Title Fight. I think Armor for Sleep was more added on my end.
Mm-hmm.
Keith originally suggested to put down Snail Mail, which I think that is listed on the Count Your Lucky Star Records roster. Like if you click my name, it does say
Mm-hmm.
Snail Mail or something. Another band that we were like kind of maybe not was Van Turnover,
Mm-hmm.
but Armor for Sleep is more like my choice.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the decision making process. But we both came to an agreement on things like, but it flowed easy, like of the bands we
Mm.
think about.
Yeah. And I would say like all of them, yeah, all of them definitely make sense. With Snail Mail, that was like the first one to come to mind just because
Yeah,
like it very much gives off like the Snail Mail like demo vibes, especially like
totally. Yeah.
yeah, how the vocals are recorded. And the Title Fight one I really love as one because like now that's usually saved for like a lot of like the like more like hardcore post-hardcore emo bands.
Oh yeah.
And it was yeah, I fully clicked it. I was like okay, we're going to get like some like heavy riffs and breaks. And then hearing it, I'm like, oh, I could definitely sense like Hyperview
Yeah,
guitar.
like Hyperview, yes. So
Yeah.
when we recorded the album, we were basing off everything off of Hyperview, like the tones, the sound when you listen to the album in general, like the way it sounds like. We were very influenced by just how it was recorded Hyperview and things like that and the tones. That was a big deal with like Hyperview for me and for Billy because he knows I love Title Fight so much. It's like my favorite band. I have like a Hyperview tattoo actually because I love
Let's
Hyperview so
go.
much. So like that was a big album for me and like a big influence for me, and I'm glad that you thought Hyperview because that makes me happy.
Yeah, no, it bleeds. That review, which I was like,
Yes.
insane.
That was the
Uh,
goal.
yeah, so I think to just kind of end off the album talk is just like, what does the future look like for Star Funeral? And, are you happy? Are you excited? What are the emotions going on right now?
I think I could proudly say that things feel good right now. I was very nervous with this out, but just since there's been so many like positive reactions and people have been really enjoying it and have been so nice, I'm feeling great. We have some things announced in the works, so you'll see it throughout the next couple of weeks or month or so. We have some fun plans, so it's not going to stop. Everything's just gonna keep going with Star Funeral, and we're here to stay. So the future looks good so far, I think.
Hell yeah, we love to hear it. So we're going to play a song off the album. The first song that would have already been played by now is "In the Dark." So if you would like to, so if you, yeah, which track would you like to highlight right now and play?
Um, hmm, I have no idea. Do you have a favorite track of yours?
um, I mean, I really love "Outgrow" and "Solitary." So if you have
Okay,
a strong
you want to do
preference,
Solitary right now?
let's do "Solitary." Okay, and then see y'all so soon. Editing. This part's getting edited. This part's getting edited. That was another thing where I was like, I don't know how to do like the fucking song breaks in an interview.
It's okay. Yeah, because everyone just sits there like, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so Hello, Star Funeral.
Hello.
My question is this. I've recently decided that a semester abroad would not only be an eye-opening experience for me in exploring cultures abroad and understanding a wider scope of humanity than the small bubble I know around me, but would also benefit my career and potentially lead to a lot of great networking opportunities. My only problem is that I would have to be away from my boyfriend for over 5 months. I love my boyfriend dearly, and I can't help but feel he's the biggest sense of security I've had in my life for a really long time. I asked him about it, and he agreed that he would feel really sad being away from me for so long. What should I do? I would love to explore the world and see more than what the Midwest has to offer, but my boyfriend means so much to me.
So, from your question, I honestly have kind of experienced something similar to you, um, where I was in a relationship and I just really wanted to explore the world. I really wanted to tour with my band. I really wanted to do all these things, but I really wanted to also be with this person because I thought they were the person that I was going to be with. Um, and around then, I felt like I needed to just really make a choice of exploring and touring and putting myself out there and like meeting people and like seeing the things that I thought I would never experience, or to be with this person and maybe think about like the what ifs. Um, but if the person really does care about you and love you dearly, I think that they would wait for you. I think that they would stick it out for you. And I think that they would look in your best interest and just really want you to succeed and like chase your dreams and just explore these new experiences because you're never gonna get that ever again. I mean, you're traveling abroad. That's probably like for a semester or two. You're going to be back with that person if that person is waiting for you. But if they can't stick it out, then I don't think they would be worth the time. And you shouldn't put yourself, I guess, you shouldn't hold yourself back for somebody else because you should also ask them the question, would they do the same for you? Because that's also a big question to ask as well. Because I don't know, you only have one life, and if that person is willing to make that work for you and wait around for you, then that's a keeper. But if that person's just gonna bring you down and make you just like sad because they're not there with you, then that's just not the right person, and you should go spread your wings and just enjoy your life. And maybe you'll meet new people and new experiences that you never knew existed, and you'll feel amazing and confident because I know that you said that that person's a security for you. Make sure that you can make your own self your own security because that's the most important thing.
Uh, so I guess just a question for you, Nikki, helping you, the listener, just like feel better about this, because it's mentioned that you and your boyfriend have been dating for over 5 months, but like I guess like yeah, the question is like, is 5 months like perhaps like too, is that like too early to call like, is a 5 month relationship where like y'all have like yet to figure each other out, like is that worth to be like, yeah, we could do long distance over abroad?
I mean, if that person's willing to make it like over abroad with you and continue a relationship, go for it. Like go for it. But also don't go to stay with the person if they're gonna take up your whole time when you're away studying abroad because that's just gonna take away your experience if they just want your attention constantly.
Oh.
But if the person's willing to give you that space and be happy for you and continue a relationship with you and let you spread your wings, as well as still being in a relationship with you and talking to you whenever you have that time, then I think it's worth it. 5 months is not a long relationship, but if you think that this person is the one and you're willing to stick it out, and if that person thinks you're the one and is willing to stick it out, I totally think it's worth it to continue a relationship. But if you feel like this relationship could potentially hold you back from maybe experiencing new things, like a new world, like people, then I don't think it's worth it to keep the relationship. And you'll be stronger and feel better knowing that you gave yourself the chance to experience all these things if the person couldn't stick it out. Like, you'll be very grateful for yourself that you were strong enough to do that. But either way works. Like, if the person's willing to make the relationship work, go for it. If they're willing to give you that space to let you do that, go for it. Like, that's amazing. Like, that's beautiful. I mean, everyone feels sad that their partner is away from them. But if it's something that's, like, really gonna get bad in the end, or you think could be bad, there's sadness, and that could drag you down, then I think that would be worrying to me. I don't think I'd wanna stay in a relationship with someone if they were dragging you into their sadness, like, constantly while you're experiencing something amazing right now. I don't know your
Right.
sense of your relationship.
But
Give me
yeah,
multiple options.
yeah, you're really comfortable to me. But like, no, I think that's fair. Yeah, it should really be uh for you. It should like really be like a gut thing, and I
Yeah.
think would agree with the fact that like it should be about yourself, and and the decision to like keep the relationship um is it's a decision for yourself. You could keep it together, have that security, and have someone who like loves you for who you are and won't hold you back, or you can have someone who's just like grants the space. And yeah, I think this is a very nice way to look at it. And yeah, as long as your partner cares for you, then it should be smooth sailing.
Yeah. And if they're not willing to, obviously, then I don't think that they're right. And you should be able to experience those amazing things. That sounds like a fun time. Like, you going abroad. Like, I want to do that. I'm jealous. I would do that.
Yeah, truly a once in a lifetime experience.
Most definitely. Like, that's a thing that you can't ever experience again. So I say you should go. But if the person is understanding and they're willing to make it work, go for it. If they're not willing to make a relationship work, then I think you should still go away.
Yeah.
You'll have fun in the end.
Yeah. Well, yeah, very, very long story short, go no matter what.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh, do you have any song recommendations for the listener to help feel better about this?
So, one of my favorite songs ever, which actually has helped me in a similar situation like yours. Um, but on my end, it was more like toxic, I guess. Um, I love the song Rose of Sharon by Tuttle Fight. That is like my song. That is like my everything. Um, the lyrics are like, lately, life moves slowly. I stop to smell a rose, inhale. Like, those lyrics, like, when I first listened to that, like, song and, like, the album Hyperview, like, it just gut punched me. I was like, oh my god, like, you're so right. Like, life moves slow, and, like, sometimes things drag you down, but, like, stop to smell the rose, because that's beautiful, and, like, you need to take those moments to smell the rose. and it will bring you life and like good things if you do that. So Rose of Sharon from Title Fight was a big one for me. I also really liked Hyper Night by Title Fight from Hyperview again. But that song was also like a big thing for me as well. Hyper Night by Title Fight is more like a realization type of song. It's more just like, whoa, like this just made me realize like this is Hyper Night belongs to me, like it belongs to me, like my life belongs to me. So the song Hyper Night was a big song for me too from Title Fight. And then I would say Your Pain Is Mine Now from Title Fight as well, off the Hyper V, because Your Pain Is Mine Now. But that is also a big song. Like I could tell like through your question that you do feel like for this person, like you care about this person, like you're taking their sadness onto you. And like sometimes that's good to like, I guess, hit head first, like people's pains. So that's another song that I suggest as well. I mean,
Oh
Hyper
yeah.
You as a whole in general is great for just lifting you up personally. The lyrics are really good for anyone who feels lost.
Yeah, I'm really imagining just laughing at the idea of someone, hopefully you, the listener, who hasn't listened to either Star Funeral or Title Fight yet, and being like, and listening to In the Dark, being like, yeah, like, like, yeah, this is good. And then hearing, because I'm putting all three, I have to put all three, all three of the songs in. Just hearing a Hyperview for the first time and being like, holy shit.
Just stacked up on top of each other of sadness, basically.
Yeah.
But in a way, like music like that really helps. It does.
And I really hope it helps you, the
Most
listener.
definitely. I hope it helps you too, the person who asked the question.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess speaking for both Nikki and I, to you, we're sending all the love, and you got
Yes.
this. As long, I mean, whatever you do should be a decision for yourself, and you should prioritize yourself and smell the roses.
Most definitely. You should enjoy your life. And if you're in college, since you say like a semester abroad, you're so young. You have so much like ahead of you. So yes, you should smell the roses and enjoy your life.
Um, so we'll be ending this episode with. I probably shouldn't do all three Title Fight songs. So I'll do two. Just for like logistical reasons, thinking that I was like, yeah, I might get a DMCA for this. But so we'll be happily sending you off with Rose of Sharon and Your Pain Is Mine Now by Title Fight. Do you have any final things to say, Nikki?
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for enjoying my album and for even wanting me on this podcast. It's been so much fun, and it just means a lot that the songs impacted you in any way and that you wanted to ask me all these questions and have me on the show. So it just means so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I mean, thank you. I thank you for creating such a I mean, just really just such a interesting and thought-provoking album, and for willing just to open it all up.
Thank you.
So, yes, thank you. Uh, yes. So to you, the listener, I hope you're doing well. Once again, if you would like to send in a question to be answered on a future episode, please email me twinkledad69@gmail.com. DM me on Twitter and or Instagram at Emo Advice Show, or text me at 775-710-5150. Hope you're doing well, and I'll see you again so soon. Bye bye.
love.